Well, hello, my name is Caritas Karisimbi aka Nalongo, and I am here to give you some good news. So I know you've all been waiting for your monies. Let me say your centers from NSSF. You've been saving, you've been monitoring, you've been checking your account every month. You've been asking, you've been requesting, and we've heard you. We're saying your money is coming to you. But the question for me to you is, are you ready for that money? I hope the emotions are not too high, but even if they are, there's a reason that I'm here today to tell you how we can make those emotions calm down and then advise you, give you ideas on how to put that money to good use. So what we're saying is, we're here to help you make those benefits count. How will you do that? Is by tuning into the series of webinars that we have, for 3 webinars that we have, just to educate you, just to inform you, enlighten you, paired with some people who do know a lot about the financial institutions. The panelists that I'm going to be having have been in the financial industry for a very, very long time. They know how to make money work for you. They have made their own mistakes and they will share them that day. I will be your moderator, so don't miss out. We're going to be learning how to make those benefits count. Are we ready to spend that money?
A very, very good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us at the NSSF Financial Literacy Program. Why a Friday, why a morning? This program is not like any other programs we usually have on the afternoons as we chill out of work. This is a program that is specifically targeted for the people who are going to receive their benefits, and also those who hope to receive their benefits in years to come. But specifically right now, we are running an agenda where we want to talk to everyone that is going to receive. Before you receive your benefit, you need to hear a message of hope, a message of responsibility, a message tasking you to make those benefits count. As you know, as NSSF, our agenda, our mandate is to pick your the money from you, keep it from you, grow it for you, and then give it to you. When we give it to you, you need to make that journey count. We will not be of purpose if that money comes to you and then you cannot find where it went. My name is Mboa Apollo and I am the headmaster of this program. I call myself headmaster because you all know Money School is a different school altogether. So put up the caps, put off those caps of you are the director, you are the MD, you are the CEO, you are the finance director, you are the this. That is the designation, that's the role you are doing. When it comes to money, everyone is a student and they are learning every day. This morning, I don't know why I'm going ahead of myself. I don't know if I'm heading for retirement earlier than this. But today we're going to be talking to quite a number, to a good panel of distinguished persons who have had it. I won't say all, because if it's all, then that means they have gone. But they have had it, and they're going to be sharing their experiences, their expertise, and their human nature with us. Why? Because we all need to hear this. Why? Because we need to make our benefits count. My role is a simple one: introduce. So I'll do the introduction and then leave it up to our repeat student. We have our repeat chief monitor, class monitor, Caritas, who will be taking us through this. So I always want to tell you that even this year, our objectives are staying the same until this changes, until we have seen more people having a longer shelf life, having their money outlive them in retirement. Then you need to leave the money behind, not the money to leave you behind. So until that is accomplished, this objective will stay. We want to build a financially empowered and aware membership and national citizenry. We're not just doing this for our members, but for the neighbors of our members, the family members of our members, the relatives of our members, because it is an ecosystem. We want our members and the various population segments to have options in their life cycle. Options is a word. It's a plural. You can't have options when you have only one. And if you have only NSSF as your retirement option, then you are poor, regardless the amount of money you have. So we talk about this so that you can create a number of options through while you are still working or while you are about to stop working, so that NSSF does not become the only option. And we hope we can succeed. This is what our 12 months looks like. Over the next 12 months, we have 25 members that are going to receive their benefits from NSSF. We are ready for you. We know you, and you will be harassing you with a number of text messages over the next 12 months, just preparing you for that time to come. So there is even no the way people will keep saying that those people, maybe they want to steal my money. No, we know that your money is here, and we are going to alert you that come pick your money in the next 12 months, but prepare yourself personally. And that next 12 months will see us paying over $1 trillion. So $1 trillion is going to come from NSSF, and it's going to go to its rightful members. Our call is make that $1 trillion count. So while the next state of nation is going to be delivered, let's hear how this $1 trillion has been distributed in the economy. Your benefits, your retirement is your responsibility. At NSSF, one, we pick 5% from you. We pick 10% from your employer. That's our responsibility. Getting the money is our responsibility. Getting the money to NSSF is our responsibility. You don't need to participate. All you need to do is just keep working. Us and the employer will do that for you. Keeping and growing the money, the 15% and the interest, that's NSSF's responsibility. And what I'm talking about, these are the easy responsibilities. Those are easy things that we are doing. I don't know if you are able to see my slides, but you should be able to see that these are the easiest responsibilities. As NSSF and your employer, we are doing the easiest part of this journey. Paying out, we pay out when you are eligible. Again, our responsibility. We pay you if you are of age, that's age benefit. We pay you if you are 50 years and you are no longer working, that's withdrawal benefit. We pay you if you are unable to work because of a medical condition. Not the words, unable to work because of a medical condition. So don't come with headache, Panadol that I am unable to work. We pay you. We pay you if you leave the country permanently and you become someone else's citizen. We get to pay you. We pay you mid-term. That's what you call MT. If you are 45 years, and right now, if you have served with us for 10 years, you get paid 20%. And your survivors get to be paid in case you pass on while you're still in employment. That money gets paid to your survivors. So that's our responsibility. And that I can tell you, we are scoring. We keep scoring. I am unapologetic about that. We are scoring on that. The spending part, when we get paid, that's entirely you. Everything here has been NSSF, your employer, but the spending part is entirely you. Ladies and gentlemen, I need to tell you that your spend is inclined to your usual pattern. If you have been getting money and losing money on a monthly, your NSSF may follow the same pattern if you don't do something about it. You do not become different overnight. Sometimes when I see people coming at the service center picking their benefits, and they are clever. When people are getting money, they become cleverer than usual. They don't want to talk to anyone because you do not understand these things of money things. They are cleverer. You do not become different overnight. Because you have received money, it does not take away who you are. Money magnifies. So seek appropriate help. You are in charge whether you are or not. Sometimes you say, I've left these things for my wife to take care of. Yes, that's your decision you have made, and you are in charge of that decision. When that money goes lost, no one is going to blame the wife. It is still you. Ladies and gentlemen, you make that decision every day. So your benefits, and as I go away and the back office team is preparing our poll questions, your benefits will locate distant relatives. Once you receive your benefits, there is a father that is going to come up and say, you are my son. You are my son. Like you all 55 years, you never knew you had another father, but now they will come. But you're not obliged to share with them. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm saying these things and they're going to sound mean, but when you get to that age, you will understand me and thank me. I wanted to say when you get to our age, but when you get to that age, you will understand me. When you get your benefits, your dependence will increase. Now, there is a whole myth going around and saying when I get older, I am going to have less responsibilities. No, responsibilities are actually going to increase. We have a survey we are going to publish sometime next month will show that at 55 to 60, those are the people that have the biggest number of dependents. And guess what? We have new dependents. One, our children. Two, their children, our grandchildren, have now become our dependents. But I want to remind you that stay true to your nuclear family. While you are tempted to invite in everyone, your nuclear families, it's not a bad thing to be selfish. It's not a bad thing. I'm just telling you. Your benefits are going to amplify a person of possibilities. All of a sudden, between the time you apply and the time you get your money, you are going to be seeing possibilities. You're going to be seeing a building you can buy on Kampala Road. You are getting 40 million, but you are going to be seeing very many possibilities. You're going to be seeing that person who has been doing passion fruit farming in your village, but they're getting 2 million, and for you see a possibility that I can get 20 million. So you're going to see, but you can't do everything at once. Retirement is long. Prioritize. Sometimes take a break and just say, let me even not do anything. It is okay if you pick your money and you keep it in a parking spot. Interest-bearing vehicles, unit trusts. It's okay while you figure out yourself. No one, you are not under any race to deploy this money. That I have retired, I need to deploy it. You are not even under any race to come and pick it. It is okay. Those are options. That's what we call options. You have the option of picking it and you're not picking it. It's okay. Allow me to go. I'm going away. Your benefits may ask you to settle scores. Because you have received your benefits, all of a sudden you realize that these people left me. They built their storied house. And all this time I've been coming from a bungalow. Let me also build a bungalow, a storied house. I've been driving this Vitz. I'm also getting that Prado. I've been seeing my boss driving in a Prado. No. Now I'm going to settle those scores. No, please. Don't settle those scores. This is your journey. It's not anyone else's journey. Relax and just take your journey. Your benefits may trick you into normality. You thinking that it is normal for you to be receiving your benefits. Because you are receiving 100 million, you start thinking that it's normal for me to receive 100 million every time. Probably you are going to receive it only this once. You may never receive it again. So don't trick yourself into thinking this is business as usual. For us who are receiving 100 million, we are in Priority Suite. We are in Advantage Banking. You even go into a certain type of banking that you have never been to because you have received that one-time payment. It's a twice in a lifetime. So because I call it twice because you may receive your midterm and then your age benefit. So it only occurs that time. It's only a few people that have had, and as we shall hear as we go on, that have had the opportunity of receiving this more than once. It may not be you. So what do I call you? My call is to you. Be selfish. Be selfish. Let me say this again. I know my family is not listening in, so let me say it. Be selfish. Think of you first. You are the more important. You are the person who has worked for this money. You are the person who has saved this money. So think of you. Don't think of saving the entire nation with just your benefits. Be selfish. Be slow. The opportunities will never run out. Their broker is going to be calling and saying, this hot deal is going. If you do not, madam, deal we kugenda kono deal. Madam, slow. No, it's okay. You be slow. Opportunities will never run out. Actually, that deal will even return to you cheaper. Just be slow. Be slow. That's my call to you. Be okay. Losing out on a deal won't kill you. Losing your money after retirement will kill you. You will die because you've lost money. So be okay with losing a deal, but don't be okay with losing money. So anything you do to protect your money, this is your money. Be patient. What failed you in 55 years will not be built in that 1 year. You have failed to drive Mpenkoni. Do not start trying to buy it in that first year of your retirement. Be patient. Be patient. Remember, In retirement, your income slows down. Your expenses gain and sometimes even accelerate. But you are the constant, and this is personal. So while we are, and this particular segment is just for you people who are about to receive benefits, and we are going to do this over and over again. Every time you see Caritas here, just know they have come for us. This is yours. But why do we do this? Because you are the constant in this. While you are tricked into thinking that things are going to go away, I'm not going to have expenses, it's just going to be me and my wife. Even your wife is probably looking at you and saying, I cannot live with this man if he loses this money. So you are the constant. So be personal about this and make your benefits count. So ladies and gentlemen, it's personal. I want you to remember that always, as the back office team gives us our poll questions, we need to remember to make our benefits count. That's the only time we can call them our benefits. Otherwise, we're having a back office conversation here and someone was saying, but then why do we even call them benefits if this money comes and it doesn't benefit us? It doesn't benefit you only because you didn't make it count. So who are you? For the benefit of our panel today, who are you? Are you are you male? Are you female? It's a single choice. You can't be both. Are you male or female? What's your age bracket? Are you below 20? Are you 20 to 30, 30 to 40, or above 50? We want to know who you are so that we understand. These good people can understand how to structure. So in 4, 3, 2, 1, let's stop that and let's see what the poll says. What do we have? What do we have? Back office team, kindly share with me. As they share with me, I want to remind my good panel here that you're about to see that I go by Sir Headmaster, Sir. We do not compromise on that naming. We don't call him Headmaster. We don't call him Headmaster, Sir, but Sir Headmaster, Sir. And I hope, Caritas, you have learned, because I have a retake. There's a retake pending. Yes, our good panel, we have 55% male, 45% female. This is good news for the females. The number is steadily coming up. It was 40-60 last time. Now it is 55-45. Thank you. We like it when the females come to the table. The majority are between 41 and 50. Rightly so, because that is where we are targeting. And above 50, it is about 28%. So the people who are going to be speaking to you are probably above those ages. Sorry, Caritas. Above those ages, declared national ID age. They're above those age, and they will definitely speak from experience. Every morning you wake up, you gain experience. Experience is you waking up and existing. But they will also share their expertise. Experience and expertise is different. So, to do that for us, Caritas is our in-house celeb, a radio personality, a Nalongo, and for today, a Nalongo of 12 years. For today, she has been dethroned. We have a Salong of 33 years, and she will be taking this conversation. Caritas, take us away.
Thank you, sir. Headmaster, sir. I've learned well, yeah? Yeah. First of all, thank you so much, all of you, for tuning in from wherever you are tuned in. I am going to say Happy New Year because I haven't been with you since last year. And I know I'm always asked, but why do you continue to say Happy New Year? It's still January. It's okay. What works for me? Happy New Year to you, and thank you so much for being a part of this lesson today. My name is Caritas, aka Nalongo, and a lot has happened since the last time I was here. We're here for the same reason, but the conversation changes a little bit because my panel here changes as well. And also some experiences, some stories that I have to tell you, or what happened, what has been going on in my life since the last time I was here when we talk about money. We'll get into that a little later on. But I've got to tell you to tell a friend, a relative, wherever they might be, that you've got to tune in. And we're across the platforms on YouTube, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, and our hashtag is NSSF Financial Literacy. You've got to learn about money. And I mean, it's so cool that you get to be taught free of charge, by the way. You're just there seated in your house chilling on your gadget, and we are learning about money. A lot needs to change, and I continue to say the biggest lesson was the onset of COVID, and then after that, what lessons we learned. And I hope we didn't go back on those lessons. I hope we continued in that path. But also, talking about the stats that we saw of the people of you that have tuned in today, it's good once again, like Mr. Headmaster said, that the number has grown. I think that's to say that we are loving learning about money. We are loving how to learning about money, making money work for us, and also getting to the table where we talk about numbers, about money, and about achievements, even about those mistakes. Yes, so talking about mistakes and achievements and all that, we have our panelists. And I'm going to start from my far left. I introduce to you the amazing Eni Drugumayo, who is the Director of Corporate Services at UNRWA. You're very welcome.
Thank you, Caritas.
Yeah, and abali eyo yonna gye muli, oba osinziddewo oba obuli Masaka oba oli wherever you are, tusanyuse nnyo okubeera naawe wano ku mikutu gyaffe egya Facebook, YouTube ne Twitter. Gamba muno agambe mune tuwulirize. Tugenda kuyiga bingi leero ku kyesente. So reason why I turned to Luganda is I wanted to ask you what in a layman's language, what your job entails, because it's too Englishified. Let's Lugandarize it. If you were telling a layman, what does your job and what do you do at UNRWA?
Thank you, Caritas, and good morning, my fellow panelists and my host, and good morning, viewers. As introduced, I'm Edna, not Enid, Edna Rugumayo, and I work for Uganda National Roads Authority. My job is, as Caritas said, Englishanized. I'm the Director Corporate Services. But simply is my area, my responsibility is to support the business of Uganda National Roads Authority deliver its mandate. So under my docket, I look after the accounting for resources, budgeting, payments, accounting, financial reporting. I also take care of the ICT, enabling the environment, and I also do the administration, where almost everything falls: transport, office facilities, name it, falls into my docket. So that's what I do.
Hey, that's a lot of work you do, and I'm sure a lot of money is exchanged in that space. That's a whole lot on your shoulders. I respect you for that. Thank you so much. Edna is going to be one of our panelists today, and I can't wait to hear the stories that have made you, that have brought you to where you are when we talk about finances. I always think about NSSF like raising a child. You know, start from a baby, you do everything you can, put the education, skill them, impart goodness into them, hoping that when you release them in the world, it works for them. So it's like NSSF, they're saving for you. Then at a certain point, the money is released back to you. So yeah, I hope that money gets to count, and we'll talk more about that in just a little bit. Now, next to me, my immediate left, is a gentleman who, should I say, is in love with SMEs. He says he has a special liking for SMEs, and he's going to tell us a little bit about how and why and exactly what he does. Dennis Lindo, you're very welcome today.
Thank you, Caritas. Thank you so much, and it's a pleasure to be with you this morning, and of course to share with many members of the NSSF fraternity. My name is Dennis Lindo. I normally tell people I am, and mark that word, I am the only Dennis Lindo in Uganda,
Come on.
in East Africa, and Africa south of the Sahara. I am. And I think for me, that's a key thing, something that you learn as you grow, that you need to identify who you are. And the moment you get to know who you are, then that enables you to define yourself.
Can I quickly ask what your name means, Lindo?
Lindo, it's just a name.
It's no special meaning to
I
it.
mean, it's just a name because
Okay.
I've seen people changing their names even at a
Stage
later
names and
yeah.
all.
So it's just a
Okay,
name.
okay.
And I am an enthusiast of the small and medium enterprises. Omuntu ayagaliza bu businesses obutono okusobola okukula okuva mu bu business mu size eyo okutuuka mu kiwandibadde ogamba large, because the bulk of our population is within that kind of
Yeah,
docket.
yeah.
So I work with them starting from conceptualization actual of ideas, starting those ideas, growing those ideas, and eventually making them the businesses that run. And I've done that for the last probably now 25 years. So
Wow.
I am just my DNA is SMEs.
And yeah, like I said, raising a child, I mean, just see them grow and all. And that is the reality. That's where the reality is, where, many times you hear stories of people who've made it and you always ask, hey, mama, how did they make it? But many times there's a story behind of how many pennies they had to put together, how many coins they had to put together, fall back, get up, start again. I always tell about my story of my salon business, that I really had invested my emotional and everything on top of money. Nateka mulav. So, and I knew it was going to really crush me, but it was a lesson learned. And talking about which, of course, recently I had a shift in my career. I was telling you while I was away, and things shifted so fast that if I didn't have what I had, the steadiness behind it, I think I would have fallen so hard. But it then also pushed me to think really fast and think deep about money, about how to put the money where it should work. I literally had to sit down, try and bring back Mr. Uchichi's words and the people that I've listened to, just to try and make sense of everything. And I must say, it's been a journey. I'll tell you more about that. But let's talk about money. First of all, SMEs, women. How are women doing there? I know it has changed a lot through the years. You get to hear those testimonies all over, even the numbers themselves, that they're online right now. That percentage, they've taken their time to sit. It means that women are taking charge as well. How does it look on the ground?
Yes, thank you so much, Caritas. The trend has actually changed, but traditionally, the women have always been the ones at the forefront in doing the small things. I can just give a small testimony about my father and my late father and my mother. My mother is still living. My father always dreamt about the big things. So whenever there was a windfall of some sort, he was up and about to do the big things. My mom did the smaller things. And I want to give you testimony that I think it's from the smaller things that she did, many of us have learned a little bit of the lessons that we've done, because the big things come and no sooner they've come than they've gone. But the smaller things seem to have that element of consistency. So from the word go, women have been lovers of that area, of that space. And for them, they don't have any shyness about starting small. Men, on the contrary, would be people that want to start big. You want to wait when all the stars are aligned in one space and straight line, and probably be able to start. So women can actually scale down from a very high position, scale down and start that very small, and then be able to move. Now, Uganda's got the highest entrepreneurship percentages across the globe. We start businesses very soon and very quickly, and almost every time there is something starting. But on average, when you look at the people that are doing the smaller businesses, women take the lead because they are very patient ordinarily, but also very deliberate about what they do. A case in point, my mother, I think in a small supermarket or shop, she has about 65 different accounts that she keeps her different money. She doesn't mix money for this and that. And so that kind of discipline, and she never goes broke. I mean, but you find that even amongst the children, some children even would even borrow from her. So the women have that kind of touch, and they are willing to stay the mile and walk the mile, and also be able to deliver within that very mile. And I think it also comes from the nature that being a mother is a journey. Being a mother is a journey. They'll put in everything they are going to put in just to make sure that it's going to succeed. So women are really doing very well, and I believe in the next decade, majority of the businesses we'll be seeing here, already we started seeing some, will be owned by women because they're also frugal in their kind of way of doing things. They know I can't go beyond this limit. And I'm not talking about slayers. I'm talking about the originals, that actually have been the backbone of this very economy. And in agriculture, in small enterprises, you'll find women, and they're quite a number.
I like that. Speaking about women, Edna, take us back. Your money journey, you learning about money, about finances as a girl, as a young girl growing up, and just trying to learn about finances. First of all, who was your key teacher when it came to money? Like that person who taught you, gave you advice about money that went a long way, that this advice has carried you a very long way. But also, I'd want you to take us through some of your financial mistakes.
Thank you, Caritas. My journey is long. I don't know whether you have the time to hear it, but I learned late in life about money. When I first started working, and around the time of NSSF New Act 1985, between 1985 and I think around 90, our employer, I was working, our employers used to break up our package in basic, a very small basic, transport, huge housing, and then they would deduct the 5% from the basic and also put on the 10% of the basic. So really, to us it was, this NSSF money reduces our net. So it's okay to have it on the small basic. We were happy because our net was big, but the net used to come in and go out almost entirely. When NSSF started enforcing the 5% on the gross, whatever that gross is made up, we saw an improvement in what we were saving. And initially it looked like, our net is going to be less for very long, but over time we got used to keeping within what we have got, and it was comfortable over time. So our benefits began making sense, and over time, of course, when you are 30, 35, 55 is a long way. So you just say, oh, this NSSF, I don't know whether it will come. And 55 comes, and I get my benefits very eagerly, and I'm very eager to do very many things. It looks like a lot of money, and I start out without a very clear plan, but everything that came was a good idea. So I got a small business near my home, cooking food for some hostel near MOOBS. I had never done that kind of business or any serious business as that. So it's really, I'm a first-time entrepreneur. I get hit by the risks. Market cost of production, overheads, electricity, rent. I'm serving students who are very frugal with their money. They don't want to spend much, but they want to eat good food. Now I'm torn between balancing the two, so I really didn't make any money for a year. I cut my costs and got out of that. Then we had started, my husband and I, building a house in the village, so we put in a good chunk to complete that. It's a good 4-bedroom house to be good when our children are going to be coming back home. We'll have space. Yeah, finished it. It's there. It's comfortable. We enjoy ourselves when we go there. But looking back, I wonder whether it was really a wise choice to do. Did I need to do it that big? In any case, they'll be gone soon in their own houses and I'll be alone. So I didn't spend everything, fortunately. I had some kept away in financial instruments and so on. Fortunately, I had some financial literacy in me. I'm a certified public accountant. But I wasn't an entrepreneur. So that is different. People may think accountants know about money, but they don't necessarily know about entrepreneurship. So yes, I made those mistakes, but as divine intervention would have it, I got another chance. 2 years into retirement, I got offered another job at UNRA as a director of corporate services, and that's where I am, and looking forward to a second retirement. So that gave me a chance to build up some more savings. Thankfully, my employer voluntarily continued to contribute, and I contributed. I also belong to a retirement benefit scheme, employer sponsored. And I have I belong to 2 other circles, 3 actually. So I have put aside different savings here and there, and I monitor my savings, and I am ready now to retire again and not make the same mistakes that I made then.
Yeah. Wow. Retired 2 years into your retirement, and then you're offered. That's a very rare story, very highly blessed and favored you are. And now you're even more financially empowered. You understand more about money. And do you have any ideas what you would want to then go into after as an entrepreneur? Away from, you tried an eatery and that didn't go. What would you want to do now that you know more?
I've assessed myself. I'm not really an entrepreneur. I've tried the restaurant. I've tried a bit of farming. I've tried trading. I don't come off very well. I think I'm rather risk averse to go into entrepreneurship. So I'm going to have to find ways where I can put my money and not have to bother about it. That will be my mainstay. And then whatever I get, if Apollo wants me to be a teacher, I'll come and give my services. If someone else wants me to talk to their people, that will be an additional. But my main income is going to come from the area of fixed interest instruments, where I can put my money there and leave it there, and the credits will come whenever I need. I just want to talk about an experience with my grandmother. My grandmother used to keep 2 granaries, and she would have 1 granary and say, "Don't touch it. That is my seed for the next season." So we'd always just use one and not touch the other. And when the planting season came, she had seed. So there's a tenet in the investment literature: do not eat your seed corn. In our local language, your seed corn will be maize. So talk about maize. If you're given a basket of maize and you have an option what to do with it, you may mill it, make that posho, and eat it. Maybe a couple of days, it's finished. But if I plant my maize, each of those seeds has an ability to have a maize plant, which will give you 1 or 2 cobs, and so many maize seeds on a cob will multiply what you had as a small basket. So don't eat the seed. Eat the product of what you have done with the seed. So that is what that will be my main plan.
Tolya nsigoyo. Si kyekyo tolya nsigoyo gy'ogenda okusiga. Just let it be there. And I love, there's something that you touched on that I'm going to come back to, but I need to remind you that we are live on all our social media platforms. That's YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. So do tell a friend to tell a friend. And we are here. The hashtag is NSSF Financial Literacy. Learning more on how to make money count, be using realistic stories and experiences just to share with you. And we know you also have your questions that will be coming in, and we shall take a look at those a little later on. But as I was listening to Edna, you talked about going into your first business, and I wanted to come to you on as an SME enthusiast. Businesses, you see, like, and I see it a lot. You see, like, say you walk along maybe William Street or Woom Street or many other places, and you end up finding the same type of business replicated over and over and over. There's like a line of boutiques, there's like a line of shoe shops, phone shops, gadget shops. Everyone is, I don't know whether to say everyone is thinking whether the right word is safe, or people are not willing to think further and beyond about where to invest their money, how to invest their money, because not every type of business is for everyone. Just because so-and-so opened a restaurant and I have money, I say, kati nja kuleeta ebyuma from Germany. If that one brought from China, let me bring from Germany, naye nange nteekewo ka restaurant. You understand? So everyone, somehow you find that it's replicated. And as as SME, talking about starting from the ground, what is your advice? How should, we're looking forward to collecting the benefits, the money is there, the excitement is there, and big plans are going on in the air. You want to take a trip, you want to do this, because it's your money. You have every right to it. You're like, sentence, call it a day, so, But if somebody wants to invest it in a business, and I'll come back to you about those financial instruments, those other financial instruments that we can look at, because again, safe to say that if I can't start, I'm not for salons, hair salons, what can I do? Where can I put my money? So what are those things that you would look at to gauge and say, okay, this is where I need to do this. Do I need help? Do I need to stash this money away? Like, not everyone is a financial literate. Like, we are still learning. But what are those pieces of advice? What do you need to look out for as you make a decision some of the ideas, where to invest?
Thank you, Caritas. I'm tempted to answer your question almost head on, but I want to give it perspective a little bit. That already the greatest challenge we have is we spend about 20 years in school, and in those 20 years in school, unless of the new revised curriculum, we are being emphasized to study hard, and when we study hard, we get a degree, and get that qualification, and then look for a job. And usually I tell people that for me, I've come to realize that actually a job is a journey of being broke. In other words, you are at the mercy of somebody who has dictated that you're going to work for them. Unfortunately, we all can't be entrepreneurs, so what happens is that somebody has to work for somebody. But the lack of that financial education, the lack of entrepreneurship training, the lack of hands-on already creates a lot of people to become copycats when they finally leave maybe university, or even they finally leave their places of work. So these benefits will count ideally if from the word go, somebody has registered with this entity, NSSF, but again, somebody has followed whether their remittances are being made by the employer, because at the end of the day, the counting is also in the amount of the money that somebody is going to get, but equally also in the skills that somebody is going to have when they get the money. So I always want to go back and say somebody must be keen from the word go to get to know that anything that is deducted from my salary is being contributed to the fund for my future benefit. And then one has also to pick interest in knowing how the fund is growing, because the level of growth gives you that journey. As I keep very intimate about how my fund is growing within NSSF, then it makes me to start to plan that in year 5 or in year 6, in year 10, these are my capacities of what I can be able to do. So I think it's very important for you that once you start, when you want to start something, you know what you have in the pocket before you're able to make out that journey. Now, then the next thing would be when you're about to get to the benefits, I think it's also very important to have a self-study. You should have had this even long before, but a self-study, because within the self-study, there are capacities that we get to know our strengths, our weaknesses. You've just heard Edna saying she's not cut out for being an entrepreneur. Why would you force her to actually become one when she's not? So many of us that actually get into business, we are forced either by circumstances, by the environment, by the early layoffs, and you have all this bounty of cash that has been given to you, and then you start into something that you've never given a thought. But in your self-reflection, it means you know your weaknesses, you know your strength, but also there is a very important thing that you get to know, whether you have talented in a certain aspects. I have seen, for instance, many people that start what they do as a result of their talents. Many of them actually succeed because they don't need to learn what they're doing in terms of a trade, because they're already talented. They only need to perfect it, and I can talk about that until the cows come back. But the point is, why we end up having many copycats of the nature is that we don't have creativity. That's number one. Number two, we don't have any intuition as to what can be done or can't be done. So the easiest thing is for me to do a copy and paste, and then I don't know where you are coming from for you to have decided to do this business. Now, when the business finally starts, we learn from the experience, the hands-on. And unfortunately, I think as we were talking in the background, this benefit you're going to get is a one-time check you're likely to get, and it's a big check, more bigger than any salary checks that you've ever received, and it comes in lump sum. And so you get excited. People get excited. People tend to think that I can do all these great possibilities. You're a jack of all trades and really a master of none, so you get into that area. Now, to get to your question, you find, because you're not well schooled from an entrepreneurship point of view, you're not well schooled in terms of knowing your capacities as a person, you only see what others have done and you do, and you don't know for what reasons they're doing them. So you get there, you don't want to get into the dirt, and it requires that you're going to be in that dirt. And then that already repels you off, so no sooner than you've started, you've already closed. Let me tell you something. The challenge of money is usually excitement. Excitement is what causes most of the people to actually lose track, because as we could have shared before, you realize that once that money comes in, you probably have told one or two people about it. So they also tell it to another person. They go to the mountain and tell it to everybody that so and so is going to get so much money. And before long, your cousins, your brothers, and everybody else is within the queue, and each of them wants to take and partake a bit of that money that has come to you. But you yourself are not even sure about what it takes to start an enterprise. So what ordinarily would have been the requirement for me, I think, is that as somebody gets closer to getting this bit of the money, they need to take a back seat. First, forget about the money. After all, it's your money. Even if you decided it's going to be longer, another year within NSSF, as they still hold it, it's your money. I want to testify that it's actually money NSSF pays, because I'm a beneficiary. And I think it took less than maybe 3 weeks from when I tendered in my application to get the money. Now, why must I emphasize about the benefits counting? At the plate and at the point of employment, if your salary was very small, you remember, Edna was sharing about the deductions which were on net and now gross. If your salary was very small, definitely your benefits are going to be very small. If your employer was not remitting any of that amount of money, it means that you're going to get definitely less than that amount of money. Kakati, when this money comes in, or about to come in, our desired advice would be take a back seat and think through to see exactly what it is that you can do. The greatest advice you could be able to get is from many investment advisors we have. Now, there are many advisors, of course, on the market that have not done the business themselves. But at least they'll be able to tell you a little bit of some inkling about where the likely trends of your investments are likely to go. You could decide to go into active business, which is now, you've told us, the salon. You could also decide to do passive investments. And there are many on the market that you can be able to look at. The greatest for me would be if you went into entrepreneurship, but with a backed entry. In other words, you've been backed and then able to get in. Because entrepreneurship gives us a chance, one, to train our own children, if that was possible, if they've not already gone. Like in my case, many of them now, I'm facing what we call the empty nest syndrome. So when I shout in my house calling my honey, there's echo, so she's on the other side, so we can't even talk to each other very easily. But what happens is that you have a chance to train your children. Secondly, entrepreneurship causes a chance for this economy to create employment. And then thirdly, when we have so many people in employment, then also we are able to collect a number of taxes as a state, and then be able to do so many things. So for me, entrepreneurship would be the journey that one should be able to take. Obviously, you need now to intersperse that with the other passive investments that, like Edna's been talking about.
Your questions, I know, will be coming in. If you have questions, we're receiving them, and we will come back with them in just a bit. Remember, the hashtag is NSSF Financial Literacy, and something that we touched on, that's family. I want to come back to that. That's a very sensitive place or subject, and we also want to understand a few of those financial instruments. I want to, because again, you just never know. I could also, just like Edna, spread those monies here. There's another account here. No, it sounded so good. I was just like, hey, mama, I want to get there as well. But also, like I said, recently had to, what you just said about investing in your passion, that is so, I feel like that goes a whole long way, because it's already rooted. It stems from somewhere. It's not anything that's going to leave you. And that's what I've also learned to do. And yes, so also investing in that, in production and what I do. And yes, if you have your company and you're looking for where to invest, so get them moving there. You can come and we talk and we see, Osanga, you could invest in me and let's grow that business even bigger. But yes, thank you so much for being with us online, and we're across the social media platforms. That's YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. We are learning how to make, how to prepare ourselves. You may sit there and say, Centers is always call it a day, so therefore you could put it wherever you want to put it. But we're just saying, how about you give it a little more thought? How about you earnestly look for those answers, that question yourself over and over, be as candid as possible, and ask yourself, if I enter this business of importing cars, what do I know about it? Or if I go into farming, am I going in the right way? Should I do it right now? So you've worked very hard for this money. Sleepless nights, in the rain, in the traffic, you've foregone many things, and now is the time for you to reap where you've sown. Are you ready? So we're just literally taking you through that journey. But also the big question is, are you aware if your employer is remitting those funds? That's like a huge question. Are you aware how that account is working, and what can we do? I would want to ask Edna, as an employer, from an employer's angle, before we go into the financial instruments. As an employer, what would you tell an employee when it comes to that particular fund? What do they need to know? How can they equip themselves? And of course, you find people saying, if I go, they'll say a time, whistleblower, or maybe if I do this, you find them stuck between a rock and a hard place for money that is theirs. As an employer, if you were talking to your employees, what would you tell them? What would you tell them? How would they go about that? But also, how do you equip your employees when it comes to money matters?
Thank God. At UNRWA, we are very compliant.
Yeah.
So they won't be coming to ask whether we have remitted. Because we know
Good.
that the later you remit, the worse it is. We also run an employer-sponsored retirement benefit scheme. And we do some financial literacy for our members. Talk to them about money, about why we save, and why we should save even beyond NSSF and the RBS and have our own other savings. Because the more, the better. The more your benefits at the end of your service, the better for you, because then you'll be nearer to financial independence than if it was less. I have had opportunity because of the desk that I sit on. At the time when we used to clear out employees as they leave. So I would have a conversation with this person who is leaving and they're signing off, and I'll ask them, what's your plan? What are you going to do? And so we exchange some ideas, and they tell me what they're going to do, and I give them some ideas. But there's one story that really touched me. That was quite early in my life. This gentleman came, and I was signing off that they don't owe the employer, and so they're free to go and get all their benefits within the company. And so I asked, what do you have in plan? What are you going to do? He said, I'm going into produce. I'm going to buy and sell produce, maize, beans, etc. I said, okay, have you done it before? He said, no, but I have some friends who have been doing it and they'll help me. So he put almost all his money in this. And you know how maize produce business works. You buy, and the next 3 months, the price has come down. You're not prepared. You don't own silos. You cannot preserve. So the maize just went away in weevils and things and could not be sold. And that was almost his entire benefits. So what I usually advise my members is, it's not bad to be an entrepreneur after you've retired, but you should have started perhaps 10 years earlier. So you've made all the mistakes, learned from them, and now you are on a growing path. Then you can come out of employment and perhaps improve your business and enlarge your business. You are on a surer footing than if you came out today, just like I did, and started a business that you haven't been engaged in before, and then take a hit, and that's the end of it. You can't afford to experiment with your benefits. You should experiment earlier in life when you have time to turn it around, to learn from your mistakes, and then you can perhaps invest some of it. Not all of it should go into enlarging a business. I encourage people to put some of it away where it is less risk, even though as they think it is a less return.
And I know, and we're going to get to those ones. I'm seeing you're pressing. Yes, tell us.
Yeah, she
You
was
want to
saying
chip
something
in?
very, thank you. Edna is saying something very important, that the starting of doing something should have been ideally before you're able to retire. I know the critical question which has always been asked to me is that my employer cannot allow me to have a side hustle because then that takes away my focus on my current job. So my employer may not be able to allow me for that to happen. But my advice would be that the beginning point would be a passive income, passive investment. And then that allows you to get used to getting slightly more money than what your ordinary employer would be able to give to you. There are also businesses that one could actually just do on the weekend. I mean, in your passion, I know there's a lot that you'd only just do over the weekend. So I want to support what Edna says, that you should not have wanted to start just at the point when you've broken off from employment. You need to have had that history. But that history can be helped even further if you decided that I would initially do passive. Now, there is this great thing that usually happens to all of us, as we were sharing earlier, that when everybody gets to come to you because you've gotten this money. Now, you can imagine somebody who has taken that money into maize. When I was slightly younger, before even I retired, I got somebody who was supplying World Food Program maize, and when you talked about maize, it caught my attention. And we went into Kamwenge there, and I didn't even know the countryside. And this was not money for retirement; it was money for which I had gotten, I think, partly from my father. And so I went into this great business, and we brought maize, only to realize, when you bring maize and you're selling it to an organization like that, they check the bags with a certain gun that tests to check sure whether all that is maize. But they actually literally pour that maize on a flat, top lane, just to make sure that you brought the tonnage. And half of the bags had stones. And I'm telling you, you did not know. You're just here. You're lying in the in the hotel, waiting for the guys to load, and they load these things. And I'm not talking about very big stones. These ruinja, but which are ruinja? Kati, the maize was rejected. So how do you sort this maize and the stones out? I lost.
I can only imagine. You're already budgeting for that money.
And I remember my father did not talk to me for a long time. So you can imagine if that was money you've gotten as your benefit, and you go into. One of the other things I did, when I got not even benefit money, much earlier, somebody came and told me there is a very good business we can do in the Sese Islands, and I said, yes, we can do this business in Sese Islands. It was entertainment. So I carry equipment on the lake. I want you to understand this bit. And you get somewhere, and this particular event, as we're traveling on the lake, then in these public boats, you don't sit on your luggage. You sit on somebody's luggage, another one sits on the other. So we get there, they go, Enyanja yagala kulia. And I'm serious. I'm telling about adversaries of business. And so they say, Nyanja yagala kola chi? Kulia. Kakati, oli atudde ku matoke, they throw in the matoke. Oli atudde ku kawunga, they throw in that one. Kat mine was a generator. 2 weeks ago, I was back in the Sese Islands, and I was training a group of people from an organization, Hima Cement. And I shared this story, but everybody wanted to go with me to find the generator in the lake. But
you threw it?
So yes, not me. Somebody else threw it, and it was a hired generator. So the business could not even go on. And I'm talking about entertainment. So you need to study and understand. You need to understand the dynamics of that industry where you're going. We have industry dynamics and we have business dynamics. But I want to say in an hour or less, we probably cannot go into all those details. But what I want people to accept is that start doing something. Start doing that something, and start doing it early enough. If it is passive, it will allow you to still be at your job without interfering with your employer, because it's from your employer where your benefits are going to come from, and at the end of the day, at least the amount will count from that element, and then we can start the bigger things when we are done.
Sir Headmaster, sir, I know time never allows when we're having a good conversation. I know we're going over to you. We've got your questions. Hussein Mubiru is asking quickly, which we'll come back to answer in just a bit, but I'll just leave the questions for you to ponder on. Now that Edna is advising not to experiment with benefits, and now that I have less than a year to end, what's the best advice? Mr. Lindo, Maureen Nakamia is asking, hello, I appreciate this stock. Please advise me on using NSSF savings to invest in rentals. And then also someone wants Mr. Lindo's contact, says, and then what's the difference between active business and entrepreneurship? Those are some of your questions. We'll come back to that in just a bit. But first,
over to Sir, Mr. Headmaster, sir.
Thank you so much, Caritas. Enyanja njagala kulya. Yes, indeed, when you are in retirement, there is a nyanja that wants to eat. As we go, we want to just have our second poll question, but there is quite a little bit, not a little bit, there is quite huge feedback coming in from here, and Edna, people appreciating. Everyone wants to have your number because you have been there before. I think you are going to be our new personal hero. And just to let you know that as NSSF, we are also happy to connect you to all sorts of persons. But as and when they are willing, sometimes you will look for Edna. She has to deliver a road somewhere, and she will not pick your call. Do not have beef on her. It is she's in her second act, and she needs to make it count. But we will share the numbers that they are willing to share with you, and please be kind. We want to understand who you are, and before we go to that, please first just hold on to that bit. I just want to give you a little bit glimpse on what retirement or that period. If you're kind enough, Anna, you can hold that poll question for now. What retirement really looks like before, and this is speaking from the point of someone who receives the people who are going into retirement. At that point, that particular week or the month before, you are one of those very listening people. You are open to ideas. You dedicate time to sharing. You dedicate time. You consult widely before the claim process. You actually are talking to people. Anyone who says, can we discuss this? You are able to. You listen. You are open-minded at that point. And your humbleness is very humbling. It's at its highest once you put in the claim. I can tell you, once someone puts in the claim, even if you are calling to tell them you have left something, they will, yes sir. They are so humble. They feel like if they offend anyone, they are even humble at their homes. They don't even quarrel with their wives. They feel like if I mess up this process, maybe my money will disappear. They are very humble. I've seen this. This is the time you can send someone to Gulu and they will actually go, even if they were not good employees. The emotions are high within, but they will fight to conceal. Like, people are fighting. I think Dennis called it excitement, but someone will try to play it cool. Yeah, I'm cool. This money, it's. But for you, it's a do or die. It's a do or die. They will harass the bank apps. Now you sort of think that if the message hasn't come, maybe I lost network. So you're always checking on balance. You are calling someone, and you don't even want to show them that you are desperate to see that the balance has come in. But and for sometimes when you meet one or two of them and they take your number, they will call, and you will always tell them, yes, it's a payment, it's going to come. And when the calling stops, it actually came. That's the only. They will never call it say it came, but when the calling stops, it came. The urgency develops. There's an urgency that develops within over the would-be investments. All of a sudden, that you need to have that money before a particular date, otherwise you will lose a deal of your lifetime. Like, you guys don't understand the market. I need that money because I'm going to lose. I've already committed on a building here, and if I don't pay this by this time, I will lose the entire building. I usually tell people that no one loses money like that. Even that person who wants you to buy the building, they really want you to buy the building. They even join in the prayer chain praying for this money. So they should not put you under pressure. They should actually, if you have money, they should make them line up and say, audition for which product I should buy. The deployment deadlines become a matter of life and death. If that money doesn't come this week, it's going to be useless to me. It needs to come this week, otherwise I have lost everything. But then it comes 2 weeks after that, and it's still useful. I've learned that. Prayer requests are shared. When you put in your claim, you share a prayer request. Pray for me, I've put in a claim. We praise God that it will come through. The prayer requests are shared. Rarely are the testimonies, but the prayer requests are shared. you are at your best behavior even at home. At that time, you're at your best behavior. Like you don't want anything. But when that message comes, everything else changes. If the back office team is kind enough, please share with me that poll question. Those who know, when that message comes in, everything else changes. So, do you have a plan for your retirement? Yes, I have. No, I don't. I will think about it when I get my NSSF money. I don't like to think about retirement. I will plan when I get there. Retirement scares me. What is your peak? I want to understand so that these gentlemen and lady can articulately share with us. Are you confident that your skills you have acquired in your work journey are sufficient to thrive and grow financially? To help you thrive and grow financially in your retirement? I'm extremely confident they will help. I'm confident they will help. No, they won't at all. I don't know if they will. I won't have to rely on them. I have a plan, so I don't need to work. I don't need the work experience. I have never thought about this. Ladies and gentlemen, we just want to understand what your answers are and your thoughts are around this. There are quite a number of questions. Please bear with us. It's just to articulate to these gentlemen. Number 3, do you ever think about life after work? Yes. No. I will work forever. My children ought to think about that. Yes. I think those are our questions. Let's have those answers. And let's see the results. What do the results show? The results show that 65% of the people have a plan for retirement. 26% don't. 2%, and this is in their honesty. So this country is heading in the right direction. If 65% have, then it's going to change our number of 5% losing their money, 5% who are living financially independent. Retirement scares me. There is a 5% that says retirement scares me. You are not alone. We are very many there. We just didn't elect, but we are very many there. I will think about it when I get NSSF. Yes, there's also a huge number there. I don't want to say that the results were rigged, but I know there is quite some number there. Are you confident that your skills will help you in your retirement? I'm extremely confident, 30%. 51% say, I'm confident they will help. There is a 16% that says, I don't know if they will. And our final question, do you ever think about life after work? Yes, 100% of them. Everyone on this call says they think about life after work. So with that, allow me to go back to Nalongo. The people have spoken. They all think about life after work.
Yeah.
But what do they think about exactly?
Yeah.
And they have also said they are extremely, they have a plan. 65% says we have a plan after work for our retirement. What's the quality? Allow me to leave you to interrogate these fair lady and gentlemen to let us know. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, Mr. Headmaster, sir. And it's quite interesting when you hear people saying that for them they'll work forever, they don't think about retirement, they fear retirement. I always say, just think about time. It will come. It will come. As in, today will pass, tomorrow will come, the next month will come. It is inevitable. So you'd rather think about it, be very realistic about it, other than it just, colliding with you, if I should say. I want to ask some of those questions again before we continue. Once again, I want to thank you all for coming in online and tuning in to this particular episode, and we've been having, we already had one webinar. This is our second. We still have a third one, and I'll be letting you know when. And I hope you're learning just like I am. We're preparing you, just giving you a little more financial literacy as we prepare to collect your money. I don't know if you're like Edna, who's going to be collecting for another loan. Very rare stories, very rare occurrence, but yes, it's proof that you actually get that money. It's your money. Just first of all, make sure that it's being remitted. Keep a close look at your account and making sure that you follow up on it. Again, like he said, it's going to help you also plan for yourself and make those plans early enough so that by the time you collect, you have an idea in mind. This conversation is just interesting for me. Remember, the hashtag is NSSF literacy. And some of the questions, Alex Akankunda Yaranga, you're saying, I'm happy to see here. Soon clocking the age. I need Mrs. Rugumayo's contact if it is okay with her. So I don't know if you have any contact you would want to give before I continue to the next question, or maybe I ask all of them and then you'll just go through them. This is also an anonymous one. She says, he or she says, what's the difference between active business and entrepreneurship? I think that's to you, Edna. I don't know if you could also jump in there. And then Hussein Mubiru saying, now that Edna is advising, I think I asked this before, not to experiment with the benefits. And now that I have less than a year to end, what's the best advice? Then also, hello, I appreciate this talk. Please advise, I think both of you could go on this one. Please advise me on using the NSSF savings to invest in rentals before we come back to the next questions. Either of you then take on either of the questions. I'll start with Enid. Edna, sorry.
Okay, thank you, Caritas, and our audience. The first question was somebody wanted my contact. You'll get it. I'd rather you have the email, so it's easier to get me there, because you may ring and I'm not able to pick up. Then we can pick up the discussion from there. The other question was, I'm saying do not experiment with benefits and you are in less than a year to retire. Actually, you should start thinking about your retirement and what you want to do with your benefits long before you retire. This is like you plan. You have a corporate plan for your employer. If you are employed, your employer puts a team together and you talk about objectives over 5 years, and then you say where the resources are going to come from, and then the KPIs or the results that you want. You should do the same thing for yourself as you plan for retirement. NSSF has that part on their app where it says project what your benefits will be. So you put in your age and your salary, and then the estimated return, the interest rate, and it will show you an amount you will have at the time you are to retire. So you can start there and then start dreaming what you'd like to do. My advisors, I'm repeating it, do not start a business. But if you've started it 10 years ago and it's working, perhaps you may think of enlarging your business, expanding into other market areas. But if you have 1 year left, then you'll be looking at how do you want your benefits to count. And our main objectives with our benefits is that my standard of living should really not fall far below what I'm living while I'm employed. So look at your paycheck. What do you do with it? You buy food, you pay rent maybe, or you dress, you buy clothes, you have fun with friends, you pay your tithe and so on. Do the same with your retirement benefits. So if you get your benefits, how are you going to deploy your benefits every month to make sure that your lifestyle is almost the same? It may not be exactly the same, but reasonably comfortable. Of course, when we are in employment, executives may get perks that are way above what the individual pocket will afford. Like if you're an MD and you're and when you are traveling, you have a first class. You needn't travel first class when you are retired, but you still get to the destination the same time with the people who travel first class. So be prudent, be frugal in your planning. Put down your budget on paper. Simulate what your life is going to be. You're going to need food. Perhaps you already have a house, so you're not paying rent. You're going to need medical. At our age, the medical expenses go up because of the lifestyle you've kept may introduce you to certain diseases, but even that, you can plan it. Live a lifestyle that will keep those diseases further and further away. So once you've simulated your budget, what you'd like to spend on, then look at the income side. How will I get that money to finance my lifestyle after retirement? If you have a business that gives you regular income, okay, well and good, you are lucky. You are one of the lucky few. If you don't, you need to simulate the regularity and perhaps the value of your paycheck. Have those instruments that will give you payments regularly, so that every month, at the time that your SMS from the bank used to come in, you have another SMS from the bank telling you that your interest on this bond has come, so that you're not making such a huge change from the life you lived before and the life you've lived after. The statistics that NSSF shows us say that 80% of us, of us who receive our benefits, it's gone in 2 years. That is sad. So we need to change that and make sure that we reduce that percentage, so that we live with the seed corn, the maize seed, longer, while we are living a comfortable life. I think I'll let Dennis take the entrepreneurship question and the rentals.
Yes, thank you, Edna. I like the cautious entry that Edna would like to share with all of us, and about true. And I think from the context where she's coming from is that when you're about to retire, you're handling many emotions within the air. The first emotion you're handling is that if you've been in an area where you have a span of control over certain people, now you're going to be a voiceless person in a very short period of time. In other words, you've been beckoning people, you ring just a bell, somebody comes to you, you know, because by the time you get to the retirement age, my idea is that you've grown through the ranks to a certain level. So you have people under you, and that the handling of that change of life is a problem. We even see it in politics. I don't want to go there, but you find that even in churches, when bishops are about to retire, it's one of the saddest of those engagements I've seen people going through. And I've had a chance to be invited to speak to retiring professors. I didn't know that even professors get into that wilderness. In other words, you've been a professor for this long, and when it comes to getting to retirement, you don't even have a roof over your head and that kind of thing. But this is the point. I think we're handling that, and I think Edna comes from that point of view to say that be cautious. And I want to agree with her 100%. But I need also to pick on her suggestion earlier, where we all concur that you need to have done something, maybe from a passive engagement. In other words, and somebody's already asking the question, what is passive and active? But passive means that you can invest into something where you don't have to engage yourself daily to be able to earn. And some of the passive engagements are in real estate, for instance. Some people get some money and they're able to buy a piece of land and let it lie idle for some time, and within a very short period of time that land has accumulated into a certain sort of value. So the question we're handling is that you must be able to increase on what you already have, and be able to move into that direction such that you can now increase. Now, for instance, real estate and land in particular, and I'm talking about bare land. You're buying land and leaving it for a period of time. You find that on average, a piece of land that you probably bought for about maybe 10 million in the next 5 years, that piece of land could be about 30 to 40, 50 million, depending on the area where you've bought that piece of land. So you can passively invest in an area like that. There is also putting your money into another passive avenue. You could decide to do money with fund managers. We have a lot of them in this town, and formal and registered. In other
Who are
words,
those?
yeah, you put in your money, and these people invest your money for you on behalf, and they regularly remit and give you dividends as that would be. Another area where you could put your money is you could join a circle. I mean, when in a circle, you're basically an active member for meetings, but the management of those circles would actually be able to, and I know quite a number of them. YSEV is one of them. We have Wazalendo. So by the time you're retiring, you can be able to get a bit of that money. Then you can also go into the capital markets. In the capital markets, you are investing in shares. And when you invest in shares for especially what we call blue chip companies, you need the advice of an investment advisor. And,
What are those, sorry? Blue chip companies?
Blue chip company. We're talking about companies that perform good into their businesses. And before these companies come into to offer themselves for you to invest into them, there is a journey which they call the initial public offer, and many of these companies would give you a prospectus you read through, and then you know their performance, then you can invest into them. Now, that is on the stock exchange. Now, the difference with the other ones I'm talking about earlier and that one, your dividends are determined by the performance of that particular company. There are many that have actually made a bit of some good performance, so your dividends become better. And then there are those, of course, because of the trading nature, you'll have had them fall down. We have a couple of them that have actually failed, but if you follow the stock exchange, then you can be able to invest a bit of that money there. There are many that have listed. I know there was a boom when, for instance, Standard Chartered Bank floated their shares. I also know that it was expected that when Safaricom put up their initial public offer, that there was going to be very good performance, but of course it was a letdown for so many people. I've seen, but there are very many companies, if you look through the stock exchange, that you could invest into your money. So shares, capital markets are some of the ways that you could do. You can also go into the money market. And on the money market, we are looking at you investing into the treasury bonds, treasury bills rather, and these don't give you so much returns, but you're sure your money can't get lost. So actually banks, a lot of banks, financial institutions invest into the treasury bills because at that point in time, through the central bank, the government wants money, and so they borrow through, and then you tie your money for 90 days, 180 days, and within about that period, your money can be able to be redeemed plus interest. But of course, with those interest rates that are whatever varied. Now, you could be riskier, like some of us, and decide to say that Caritas seems to be doing a good business, and let me invest into. Like in my case, I previously invested in schools, not as the 100% owner, but buying a stake into a school, especially startups, which I have been involved. Like there are many home schools that now I'm involved with. But when COVID came, it was a burnout, so nobody anticipated that COVID is going to come. So it is very possible for you to put your money there. So there are many enterprises that you could put your money there, but that depends on the performance of that very particular industry. Now, real estate. Somebody talked about real estate, and real estate is a very exciting thing. Depending at what level. First and foremost, we have a shortage of housing to the tune of about 750 housing units, probably to about 1 million in the whole of this country. Meaning that there are people that are going to require to have a house or a roof over them, whether they're going to have it to own or to actually rent. My experience, when I travel through some of these great suburbs, Kololo, Muyenga, there are many empty big houses. Many. So, and when you construct a big house like Edna did in the village, it's even worse, because what happens, and Edna, I'm not trying to pin you down, but I have been an observant of especially many of us that migrate back to the village over Christmas, we have houses we've left there, and we can only be able to sleep in those houses only 4 days. Boxing Day and New Year we are back, and those houses have consumed more money than you can ever imagine. So it's a white elephant in the village. So I know the bigger the house, the more costly it's likely to be. So in real estate, my entry point would be low cost housing, because the beauty with the low cost housing, if the tenants don't pay you, you go and remove the roof. Are we together? Now this is now that's on a lighter note. But you see, with these big houses, any average tenant in a big house would know the law. So by the time you take them out, you've done about a bit of some legal gymnastics and those kind of things. But yes, the return on investment, because every investment one makes has to have a return. Now, you find that the more it is that you invest into a bigger project, the longer it is likely that you're going to have the return on investment on that particular venture you've taken. A big house, 500 million, is equated to starting a small scale industry. Soap making, paper making, toilet paper making, so in other words, you have a 500 million house, and you only sleep in one bedroom of that house, and in that one bedroom you sleep in a mazongoto bed on one side. Am I to me? So even when you cross over to that side, somebody like Apollo can kick you, say you go back to your side. So the point I'm trying to say here is, even that alone is a very bad investment, because that big house would not return. If for you to get even a tenant for it, you require to go through odious amounts of looking through agents, and they're taking a bit cheap of the money that they're going to give you. But these low cost ones, you kick these guys, of course, within the law, but you kick them as and when you want them to. So I think you can invest, but also the area of investment must matter. The farther your house is from the metropolis, the cheaper it becomes, even when it is as big. So, and the nearer you are to the metropolis, the more costly the land is. So you must look at the money you have, the area of land where you want to buy from, and then the nature of the investment you're going to put there, and all those work in consonance to be able to give you a good picture of what your return on investment on housing is. So critical thing, I think, for me is everybody must attempt to get some entrepreneurship education. And I need to discount this information, and Edina just amplifies this for me. Not every accountant can be a good businessman. Not every doctor can actually run a hospital. Not every teacher can actually run a school. Otherwise, all teachers would be having schools. So the point is that entrepreneurship is a vocation. People must learn, like we learn driving, like we learn cooking. I cook. Yes, I cook without salt, without oil, and without water. But the point I'm saying is that, yes, the point I'm trying to say is that you must learn. There are things you're going to learn, and they're going to cause you to understand what it takes. For entrepreneurship, everybody must have an entrepreneurship eye. What do you see when you drive from home on a daily basis? What is it that you see? Now, I've seen businesses, and I don't want to indulge people into those details, but I've seen people doing businesses that have a daily return of about 50 to 100,000 shillings, and their investment is not even 100,000. But there are also many businesses I know that don't give you 100,000 every day, but actually the investment is that big. Now, that discussion we can go on. And I can talk about 260 items that actually one could invest in. Right? Now, before I sign off, entrepreneurship is a lonely journey, just as retirement is. Because it is in your brain that you think, which ideas am I going to do? You look at the roof every morning, or even in the night as everybody's sleeping, for you are awake, thinking about how you're going to make ends meet in that entrepreneurship journey. But equally, the retirement one, actually, I want to tell people, the period you spend in education and working is much shorter than the period you're going to stay in retirement, whether in number of years, but also in number of effects And I was telling you, your bills become higher. Now, for me, what I'm facing is that when I call my boys to come and see me, sometimes they even ask me, give me a pin to the house, to the home. So they don't even know the home these days. So what I'm trying to show you is that people forget you so easily. They ask for a pin to come to my house, and I've paid their school fees. Because the Uber man wants a pin. Am I communicating? So when they finally go, you become so lonely. When you're not in active employment, when you're not in active engagement of anything, the aging even becomes faster. And then our spouses even decide to leave us. Because at that point, you're possibly, I'll talk with Apollo, whether you're dead wood. But, at that point, you're not good anyway. The kids have gone, so what more do we need you for? But we can go on for that discussion.
It is really a financial literacy session, and we're learning a lot. And borrowing from your own words, we could go on forever. I mean, it never ends. Like you said, it's a long journey, even longer than, I guess, it's always through your life. We have so many questions, but I noticed Edna was jotting down some notes. I don't know if you want to add on to what he has said, but while you look at that, I want to quickly go through in these questions and we see which ones we can catch. We have very little time. I've been seeing some Mr. Headmaster looking at the clock. I know this conversation is, like I always say, when you're having a very good conversation, time just shows off that it's in control. So again, I don't know if you still have any other ideas for the financial instruments to add in there, because someone here was asking about the treasury bills and the bonds and if there's a difference between the two. Here, Mr. Lindo Maxio Moot is saying, may you please comment on a retirement plan of collecting all your NSSF savings, then deposit with an institution that will continue paying you salary till your lifetime. I think you've pointed on that a little bit. You've gone in. I don't know if Edna has something to add on in there. And then also Rebecca is on YouTube and she's saying, yes, entrepreneurs start worrying about seasons. Like now, when children are going back to school, one would pray to get money to stock books, scholastic materials, etc. What do you advise in such a scenario? This is really a one, mine are not yet even finished with primary, but you wake up and like, so what I decided is just make sure you keep on depositing in that by the time the term starts, or 2 cent, and Saturday half of the term, budget abagenda, So, but this is a very important time and parents have to make up their minds, and retirement money comes in, and there's university kids, there's primary, and they're looking at it and saying invest, put it away for school. Big decisions to be made, especially during this during those times. Your questions are so many, I don't even know where to go to next. Let me let Edna first come in there before I continue. Even though we have very few minutes left, let's see how much we can squeeze in.
Thank you, Caritas. I just wanted to add to what Dennis said. He gave an array of options, what you could do with your retirement, including buying land and keeping it for a while, call it land banking. So you put your money in land, hold it for a few years, and then sell it later. He talked about venture capital that he does invest in schools. He talked about real estate, low cost. I just want to say that whatever you do, mind the risk. Dennis may have done some land banking and made a huge sum of money. You may do the same and buy from a quack. You haven't done your due diligence, your money goes down and you'll never get it. You may go to court and probably even your agreements were not quite proper, or you may be in court for many, many years and you've lost your benefits. So whatever you do, mind the risk, do your due diligence, consult the experts and make sure you know what you're doing. Secondly, it always matters the level at which you operate. Sometimes you go in so low that it doesn't give you a return. So make sure that you are able to break even, whatever you do. You are able to get a return on your money. Then I'll also take on the question about treasury bills and treasury bonds. What are they? Are they different? And Dennis also mentioned them in his list of options. Ask your commercial bank. They will give you a whole explanation, a lecture or lectures on these. But in short, these are financial instruments that are sold to the public by the central bank on behalf of government, for government to borrow from us. So a treasury bill is a short-term instrument. They issue them in 90 days, 180 days, and I think 360 days. So you get your money, put it into a treasury bill. They give you a piece of paper, or now it's just a virtual account in the central bank. They say we are holding your money for 10 million in treasury bills, and this is what you'll get interest. And at the end of the period for which you're holding it, if it's 3 months or 6 months, they'll give you back your money with the interest. Treasury bonds, on the other hand, are longer term. I think it's 2 years up to 20 years. So you give your money to through the commercial bank to the central bank. They give you an account, a CSD account they call it, where you're holding a right to that money when the maturity comes. But along with that, you're also holding a right to receive interest every 6 months. They call that coupon interest. So every 6 months, the bank will credit your account with the interest earned. And you'll hold that and keep earning interest every 6 months until maturity, or until you decide that you need your money back. So you'll tell the commercial bank, sell my bond, I need it now. But your commercial bank will be able to handhold you into opening your CSD, into educating you what you can do, and you place your money. They are very liquid instruments. You can go in and exit as your need is.
I guess that's my lesson today is about passive and active businesses. I guess now that you were explaining is passive, if I'm correct. Yes, where you get to invest, chill, and let money make more money for you. And I think that's a good thing as well, because making money doesn't mean you've got to be in there getting dirty actively. You could easily just be making money without having to sweat. That's a cool thing. I think I should really consider that. When I see Mr. Headmaster standing up, I am like, the clock is about. But I don't know, do I have time to squeeze in one or two? Okay. So another question here very quickly is, please share the available sources of passive income I can engage in on Ugandan market. Also share credible investment analysis. Analysts who can guide on investment. That's to you, Edna. I think you've already touched on money markets. Frederick was asking. Mr. Lindo, Pamela Campide is asking, how long would you start a business before you retire? Because one of you said, don't remove the money and do business. I did not understand why. Then another one is, what's the possibility of starting up a transport business with my saving? Is it viable? Specifically, taxi business. I feel like you people, we don't have enough roads. You want to add more taxis on the roads. Let's first talk to Edna about the roads. We see if they expand, and then we can add more taxis. But on a serious note, those are some of our questions before we wind up.
Okay. The question about money markets, and I advise that you go to regulated actors. And these you may find on the capital markets website. All of them are regulated by the capital markets, where you'll find umbrella trust funds, you'll find financial managers, fund managers, and you can get a list of them and talk to them. On, I didn't get the fund. Yeah, fund managers, money markets. The money market, you may go to your commercial bank, and they'll give you that advice. There's also something that Dennis talked about, venture capital. Venture capital is not really regulated, but you'd better have somebody who is an active venture capital manager who matches those with the money and those with the business, because then they will go and look at the business and see whether it makes sense, whether you'll get your money back before they advise you to invest in them. So whatever you do, even if it's taxi business, even if it's chicken, even if it's, consult an expert in the field. Don't think for yourself or ask a relative, as Sir Headmaster told us that the first people we ask are our relatives. Look for an expert in the area. They'll give you objective advice, and then you'll be able to take your final decision, at least with information. Someone asked why I'm telling them not to start a business with retirement funds. I'm just cautioning you. The decision to start is yours, but I'm advising you that whenever you are starting a new business, you have, my brother used to tell me that when you make a loss in a new business, that is school fees. So you'll be paying school fees to learn from a mistake. How much school fees do you have with retirement benefits to learn from repetitive mistakes before you get it right? So start early, learn from your mistakes, and then when your retirement benefits comes, you may put it in the business to expand or to improve the level or to diversify, but don't start. It is risky. You may lose it all and you don't have a second chance. And over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much. Edna, thank you so much. We have an egg and chicken scenario, because the critical factor that we must be able to understand within this economy is that, for instance, the entire civil service has got less than 500,000 jobs. So the rest of the other people that are working are actually in the private sector. And the private sector where they're working are businesses. And you have the highest unemployment rate in this country. And the only way you can sort out that is not even government giving anybody a job, but actually for people to actually start something. The caution is very, very key. I totally want to agree. But if we don't do something before we retire, we are not likely to do anything after we've retired. Because actually, the more you grow, the more you become risk averse. Because you say, what if, what if, what if? So I want to agree that there are risks. But even life, even coming to this session is a risk itself. Going to labor is a risk. Yeah, I've seen situations where that risk can be. So there must be holding the bull by its horns and allowing, for instance, to avoid all this, we must even go back further. Allow our children to become entrepreneurially oriented. Because when you're an entrepreneur and you have that orientation, you don't fear the risk, but you calculate the risk. You're able to say, this is more riskier than the other. Even marriage is a risk. Remember, we stand on the altar, and then you're telling you are going to be my lawfully wedded person, and 5 years down the road, you don't have this person. Love is a risk. So, what is not risky? These days, even people are telling me that and I don't want to blaspheme, but even religion seems to be a risk. So my wanting to conclude on that issue is that I hear where Edna is coming from. And yes, don't put all your eggs in one basket and say, I am not going to invest. But when you're going to invest, you need to make calculations. Use the likes of the people that she has talked about, especially those that are regulated. But you see, even the access to some of these people is not as available. And business is not English. Business is Mpanku way. So my whole idea is find somebody who needs what you can give them and make that a business. And I've seen people in this town living, they've never been employed anywhere. So even these things we are talking about, retirement benefits, they don't seem to understand them at all. But how I wish we all could be able to understand that actually when we save money with NSSF, for instance, and many of these other engagements that we can be able to do with some of those investment avenues that we're talking about, we can. So I think find where the need is and position yourself to say, I can meet this need. Now, let me talk about transport very quickly and for you to understand where I come from. For me, I deal with the people who don't speak English. And somebody has 5 Kamunyes, and each of them is 80 million. And they give it to a driver without even an agreement. So how much risk are we talking about? Look at the borders. On an average police station, there are about 300 borders that have not worked for the last 1 year. I don't like what I see. But what I'm saying is that if I can therefore risk in a taxi and maybe risk in a border, I think I could take a lesser risk in another investment which requires me to actually sit and be able to pinpoint. Because even that taxi, the man says, my number here's our I know of many that have been left at junctions, and somebody says, you go and pick your vehicle there, and you find it even vandalized. So I think the risk appetite must be measured with a bit of some controls, because now at retirement, indeed where Edna is coming from, you don't likely have a chance to do a second round like she's having. You're likely to go, and when you go for good. Your employer forgets you. Remember, he has not even given you 10% of what you've been earning for them. Your people around you also, once the money gets dry, they leave you. But also, you are likely not to be in sync with the current trends. Today, people are talking about trendy things. We are talking about now electronic commerce. We're talking about, and many of the people in our bracket maybe are saying, what is that one? Are we together? So, get something you can be able to deliver. And the best something you can be able to deliver should be able to come from your passion, should be able to come from your talent. And from your talent, chances are likely 75% that you will struggle. But eventually, when you do your talent very well and you invest in that talent very well, let's look at the music industry, for instance. I'm just giving an example. Let's look at sports. Let's look at, name it. So I think it's very possible that you can invest in your talent. And if we grow our children on those lines, them identifying their talents and having an entrepreneurial education mindset from the word go, like the Asians do, there shouldn't be a fear to venture into enterprises, because we shall have already tested some of those beliefs and fears that we have. Unfortunately, many people that are going to get their money in these 12 months, many of them have not had a chance to go through maybe that kind of formation for them to be. And that's why these lessons and these talks are very necessary that NSSF is doing.
Thank you very much. I mean, I was just holding on to this button because I'm seeing Sir, Mr. Headmaster, Sir, standing there and waiting for us. But see, here's the thing. We still have some questions. Charlotte, we've seen your question to Edna. And what I'm thinking is you go online and you can put your question there, and the team here at NSSF, the back team, will be able to pass those questions on to Edna. And if you also have any questions, to the man himself that loves small businesses, small enterprises, just watching them grow. Dennis, please do share them and let them know what the questions might be. And email address, Edna, maybe you want to throw in your email address there. And Dennis, if there's any contact that you would comfortably share, we throw it in there before I then pass on to you. But I want to say thank you very much for all of you that have been with us online. And remember, it's not the last webinar. We still have one more webinar to go. And if you have any questions, it doesn't end here. Education doesn't end here. We keep learning on and on. So do share those questions on the NSSF social media platforms, and we will direct these questions to anybody that has been on the webinars, be it our panelists for today or the past webinar. So don't be afraid to share those questions. Back to you, Edna and Dennis.
Okay, thank you, Caritas.
Maybe before they come in, I want to give them one round of chance to just share their closing remarks. And don't worry, I'm not here to chase you away. I myself I want the conversation to continue. It just needs to continue. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Edna. This has been a calm discussion. It's been one of those things that are really, really touching you, but they have not been. It's not the spirited type of discussion, because this needs to be handled with all that bit. I want to add to 1 or 2, 3 things. Then I'm also going to ask Anna and Aisha to share. Please share our numbers. If any of these persons needs to get to any of our panelists, they can get through. I know one of you has Airtel, another one has. You can share my MTN also. I'm happy to. You can WhatsApp. Yeah, I'm happy also to pick phone calls, but sometimes we also try to regulate the amount of traffic that comes to our good panelists, given that they just donate their time at no cost, by the way, at no cost. So we don't want to burden them with things we're already being paid for. Me, I'm paid for highly to just attend to you, and I will definitely get that message. Unit trusts. There's unit trusts and unit trust managers. We have 7 unit trust managers in the market. They are regulated. That's where you can put your money, and it gets you a monthly interest and their payments. They're called unit trusts. So we have ICEA, we have Sanlam, we have NSSF is coming up with its own unit trust also, but these ones are now active. Stanbic through SBG. We have Britam, UAP, and I think that's that. Then they are, but you can still access them through the Capital Markets Authority. Those same persons I've mentioned, you can also go through them to do the treasury bills and bonds, but primarily your bank should be able to handle that. We have a detailed presentation on unit trusts, treasury bills, and bonds on our YouTube channel. Again, I'm going to ask Anna to put that YouTube channel through on our chat so that people can pick up that. You can there were a whole 4 hours dedicated to just understanding those basics, the things you've been harassing Edna with. We have gotten experts, and they have been here from Bank of Uganda. We've been here, the CEO from Capital Markets has also been here, and they have discussed that in detail. Please visit that YouTube video that we have done for you. Employers, there's someone who was also talking about employers, and I'm saying this conversation needs to come to the people, to your people right at their doorstep. And as employers, if you can organize the people, the ones above 50, the ones above towards getting their retirement benefits, NSSF will be happy to organize the likes of these gentlemen and ladies to get to you, and we have that conversation at the workplace. If you can create the platform, all you need to do is create the platform, then hand everything else to NSSF. Will run everything else with, because those are our members. They were our members before they joined you, and they are going to be our members after they leave you. So we have huge interest in getting them. So ladies and just get in there. Just for emphasis, I will ask Caritas to, I think the word is to retweet and do those things. I think just go to her. Please retweet these things. Follow her. I don't know what the words are.
I didn't know you are a silver surfer. Those are real problems of silver surfers.
Caritas, I have a whole 122 followers on Twitter. Actually, please follow me, and we beat Caritas's number. If she thinks I am not there, I'm also there. I hold 120 of you believe in me. So please, it's called at Apollo Mboa. Please go there at Apollo Mboa. Yes, go there, and let's beat Caritas's number. But why would we do this? We want to get this information to your doorstep. Let us get it in there. There's a wealth of information. Now, as we wind up, on one of the reasons I cut Edna short, I want, in 2 minutes, Caritas, there is a story you promised that you have not delivered on. Something you mentioned in your opening remarks, and I thought you need to give us that before Edna and Lindo come in to close this.
Are you talking about my employment status?
I don't know. You said the story, something has changed, and we like hearing changes.
Yes.
Please give us the gossip.
A big shift. If you call it gossip, now it changes.
Give us the information.
But yes, in these corridors, you may call it that, but no, it isn't. I guess it's just a shift that normally happens in everyone's life. It's just that you need to always prepare. That's why we have these conversations. It's just a shift from working from mainstream, being employed, to creating my own employment and being an employer myself. So I started up a company called Caritas Production, and what we're into is creating content, doing videographies. But yes, thank you for allowing me kuisa wa kakalango. But yeah, Caritas Production is into content creation. So if you have any ideas, or you want us to create for you an idea and bring it to life, that's where I am.
And that's
So,
the
yeah.
beauty about life. It changes. Sometimes when things change, you think you think you were owning you were owning a plot at NSSF. You are employed by NSSF. You want to go. You will go. I'm telling Apollo, you will go. So you need to prepare, and change is not a bad thing. Tito, sorry, Mr. Lindo, Dennis. Tito is our content creator. So when you talked about content, that is where everything. As we wind up, there are two things I want you to do. One, your closing remarks, but two, share where people can get some content, a book, a video, a book, a website where you think if someone accessed it, if they have disregarded everything but they accessed that, they can definitely uh, be better persons when it comes to their money. And the same will go for Edna. Closing remarks, that book, it's called our homework session.
Yes, that's very, very, very interesting question. I am told that averagely, we Ugandans are not very good readers. And when you send people to read a book, they get into issues. It becomes academic. But I think there are so many resources now on the net, local resources. There are many, and for me, I believe actually in interaction. When I grew up, I used to read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and there was a craze of people reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I've been trying to follow up whether some of the readers, including me, became actually rich. So for me, I think where I come from, and I've said my community, the one I deal with, does not even speak English. They would probably not even read a book. But I think there are many resources that can be able to be gotten, and there are people I can even mention to you that you could. I know some notable people like Dunstan Chisule. If you're able to follow him a little bit, Muntu, you'll be able to get a lot of advice in terms of real-time investment. Is the founder of YSave. I know of Mr. Golova. You just get to them, just get to some of this. Dennis Lindo here, so I'm the book. Yes, so I'm the book. So that is very important. But Apollo, my closing remarks are like this. I have done a lot of exit interviews for many organizations, besides doing the onboarding interviews. And in one of those interviews, I had a chance to meet my former bank manager. And he was retiring from a bank. And my experience was, one, I asked him, what are you going to do after telling us everything that we need to improve in this organization that now you are leaving? The common statement that everybody tells me is that when I finish this employment, I am going to start a small business. Now, this, needless to say, this gentleman was dishing out billions of money, both in local shillings and in foreign currency, as a bank manager. So I know the cry would be for somebody to do something. But let me also caution that the inactivity for somebody in retirement is the biggest cause of death, because depression sooner than later gets in there. So being able to do something is very important. Being able, if you can't do so many things, rear dogs. Yes, and I'm serious. Now, a German Shepherd, in one of the companies that I oversee, we rear dogs, and a German Shepherd is between 2.5 to about 3 million shillings. I know one person and a teacher in King's College, Budo, who has been rearing these dogs, and every turnaround is about 9 in that, I don't know whether it's a liter or in that whatever delivery. So think about, even if it's $1 million shillings for the 9 of them. And I'm very serious about the things I'm telling. We don't have time. I need to come back here to talk about small business. Because once when if I talk about small business, then you'll understand where my cry is. I know a vendor who does, Edna called it very small, but who does, and with all due respect, I mean, she's my, yeah. So who does 50 cobs of maize every evening, and each of them is at 1,000 shillings. It's 50,000 shillings every day. And that family has got 4 people doing the same. So we are talking about 200,000 shillings every day. So we are talking about 1.4 million shillings every week. We are talking about almost 5 million every month. And I know many people in this building who don't earn 5.6 million every month. So for me, I'm not apologetic about business.
Don't look at Caritas.
No, no, no.
She's
So-
she's
so
in entrepreneurship
my
now.
my parting shots would be, you see, Apollo, a chicken gives eggs. A banana plantation will give you bananas, and I'm talking, and I could go on. A human being, what are you giving out? So if there's nothing you're giving out, then you are not in business. You must be able to produce something. And for me, that's where I am very much a proponent. And in fact, in my comfort time, I speak to people about investments. I speak to people about enterprise development. I speak to people about self-discovery. I speak to people about finding the best and the innate person within you. I empower people to, I cause people to get empowered in running their journey. And I handhold people. I have about 5 professors who sit under my feet, and we are talking about great things in this country. But what I want is that people to wake up, because there's nobody who's going to wake up for you.
Definitely. Well said. Well said. Thank you so much. It is sometimes said, if you are not producing anything, die. But Edna, please, your closing remarks. Just to note out that everyone has been. Every time Edna starts speaking, there is Bugalo, Bugalo. I see Bugalo, Bugalo. You are a darling. You are such a darling. And on the other hand, Mr. Lindo, people would get ready. You have been punching them. You've been punching, but it's what we do. We bring these two panelists on one extreme, risky and conservative, and that's the beauty of life. You bring them together, and people get to make their decision. Yes, Edna.
Thank you, Sir Headmaster. Indeed, conservative, and I don't want Dennis to go away thinking I'm decampaigning business, small businesses. No, not at all. I've also been a small business person, although not done very well, but I still try. I keep trying. And in fact, we should talk about dogs, because I have a litter right now. And again, Dennis stole my script, because when Sir Headmaster asked the question about the book, I wrote it down. And that's the book he came up with, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I read this many years ago, but followed it on with the cash flow quadrant game, and played that with my family, my husband and children, many times on, those free afternoons. It can take quite a lot of time. But I saw the impact it had on the thinking. All of us started thinking differently about money. So books may be read, but you need to get together with people to share ideas, to learn from each other, and see what you can pick from there that meets your passion, meets your acumen, what you would like to do, what you have the guts to do in order to become an entrepreneur, but also in order, most important, of paramount importance, to manage your financial resources. But let me also say this. We've been talking to employees who are about to get their benefits. This story should be the same for those who are self-employed. Because time comes when the job you do every day, your self-employment, you can't do it anymore. Life should not stop then. So as you carry out your business, put away something for your retirement, for that time when you cannot actively work, and the money should be able to take care of you. My contact, I'll give the email, because the telephone I might not be able to answer it all the time, but you can reach me on ednarugumayo@gmail.com, and that's all lowercase. One word, ednarugumayo@gmail.com.
Thank you so much, Edna. Do you have a Twitter account?
I do.
Yes.
At Irugumayo.
Irugumayo. Thank you for the 2 new tweet. I have 2 new followings, Caritas. By end of day, I will have caught up with you. Thank you so much, Edna. Thank you so much, Lindo. Thank you so much, Caritas. It's always a joy when we can come and disturb your mornings, and we speak some things which I don't know what you think of them, but we feel like we are making something out of this. I would want to look back 10 years to this video and I say I did my part to impact. As we go on, we'll continue doing this. This is not about to stop. There are 25,000 of you that we need to reach this year. Specifically, personal, we need to reach you because you are receiving your money. Of course, coupled with all the other platforms we go, but this platform is dedicated to the 25,000 of you who are taking home 1 trillion shillings. Imagine if the 25,000 of us had a single mind, what we can do with 25,000, with 1 trillion shillings. From myself, I will take myself, no, not headmaster, but myself at Apolomboa. At Apolomboa, please note this, at Apolomboa. Go and follow at Apolomboa. From the at NSSF and the back office team, we have at the Money Bakery, at Anna Maria, at Caritas Karisimbi 1, 2, and at E Rugumayo and Mr. Lindo. Thank you so much. We say thank you and have a great day.